It's about the restoration of our republic. We want to educate, encourage, enable the power. We stand for integrity, honesty, self-reliance, self-defense, and most importantly, no compromise on our foundational principles. This is America's Voice Now.
Find America's Voice Now on Facebook and at americasvoicenow.org. Here's Michael Evans.
You're listening to America's Voice Now. My name is Michael Evans. Thanks for joining with us this morning. I don't know what it will take for America to stand up and do the right thing. I don't know why we have no leaders. No leaders of integrity, no leaders of honor. Oh, I know. No one wants to say what really needs to happen. No one wants to be the person to say, I'll be the leader. I'll have to live in secret. I'll have to speak out and say what everyone knows. No one will voice. That leader who is willing to stand and say, my life is forfeit. And that's all right. Because I stand with the torch of liberty in my hand, and I have only one duty and obligation, and that is to make sure that it stays lit and that I pass it on to those generations who come after me. And I am willing to give my life to accomplish that task. There are no other options, folks. Whoever this leader is, they'll have to live in hiding. They'll have to be supported by the partisans of our nation, who are willing to give up time, money, food, energy, effort. "50% of this nation is drugged into submission. 50% of this nation is dependent exclusively on government. That same government that seeks their enslavement and has accomplished it and gained it, while they willingly hang their head and say, put the chains upon me. I accept your chains. Now can we eat? Millions upon millions of people with fear. Fear of what? Death? Every person that has ever lived upon the face of the planet has died. Every person currently alive and breathing right now will die. Your churches, your schools, the scumbags who represent you, allegedly, they all tell you That's the thing to fear. No, it isn't. The thing to fear is living as a slave under the domination of others. That is a fate worse than death. The will to live should never override the will to live free. Living a captive where is the life in that? And you are a captive. You may say you're not. I have the freedom of travel. I earn my living. I can come and go as I please. And you would be a fool. You know, the truly manipulated who don't realize they're being manipulated, that is the saddest. That is the most dangerous. And the tens of millions of Americans who are swallowing antidepressants by the handful, fully, terminally addicted to the pharmaceutical heroines and methadones and drugs, willfully allowing themselves to be manipulated, their minds altered by propaganda with the assistance of hypnotic drugs. Those who don't take the drugs, they just take the money. Those who don't take the drugs or the money, but just drink the Kool-Aid. Those who don't take the drugs or the money and don't drink the Kool-Aid and just think, I'll just sit this one out. And eventually, it'll go past me. They will someday wake up and realize there is no place to hide. There is nothing that we can do to recover any semblance of what you believed this nation to represent. The proof is everywhere around you. A media that can't find their own private parts with a magnifying glass and the help of, helpless, hapless, traitorous. They rely upon a not-for-profit like Judicial Watch to do their job for them. And when the traitors get betrayed, there's no honor among thieves. Jill Abramson, New York Times editor, first woman ever to sit at the New York Times in the Queen's chair. First female to ever hold the throne. Suddenly fired. You know why? Because she asked for equal pay. War on women? She, its staunchest ally, is also its first victim. How insulting. How hypocritical. How shameful. Our nation is awash with those who are burdened with self-interest. And they've become so filled up with the measure of their own evil. Many of them can't even see it. Many of them don't want to see it. Many of them are afraid to see it. Many of them wallow in it. But we know better, and we know right from wrong. You know, Jefferson said to us that honor, justice, and humanity forbid us tamely to surrender that freedom which we received from our gallant ancestors, and which our innocent posterity have a right to receive from us. We cannot endure the infamy and guilt of resigning succeeding generations to that wretchedness which inevitably awaits them if we basely entail hereditary bondage upon them. But we don't care about old fogies like him anymore. We don't care about guys like George Washington. We don't care about people like Patrick Henry and Thomas Paine. Franklin, Adams, Madison. We've given up. We've given up, and we have willfully betrayed ourselves and our posterity who will come after us. We no longer have a right to stand idle. You know, we've been fooled, and we've allowed ourselves to be. You know, this desire for peace and avoidance of confrontation, avoidance of violence, and avoidance of shame is our undoing. There was an essay in the National Gazette in 1792 that talked about this specific issue. It's just one sentence, and it says, "A universal peace, it is to be feared, is in the catalog of events, which will never exist, but in the imaginations of visionary philosophers or in the breasts of benevolent enthusiasts." It's a fantasy. Gentlemen may cry peace, peace, but there is no peace. What peace do you call it when your own government seeks to injure you physically? That's too harsh a statement, I hear. Government is out there to protect us. Is that so? Protect you by releasing 36,000 criminals into your innocent, unknowing presence? By allowing and creating a cartel of bankers who would put you on the rack and crank and crank and crank until your bones give way. We are in a war. And either you will acknowledge that, or it will cost you your life. In Federalist Paper number 14, it says, "America united with a handful of troops, or without even a single soldier, exhibits a far more forbidding posture to foreign ambition than an America disunited with 100,000 veterans ready for combat." What does that mean? It says an America separated by race, religion, and sex preference, and money, and ideology, and drugs. No, I don't mean cocaine and heroin. I mean the one that comes out of Pfizer and SmithKline. An America united, undivided, united against a common enemy called the IRS, the EPA, the USDA, who just bought some machine guns to do you in. The Department of Homeland Security that has acquired billions of rounds of ammunition to accomplish that task. The Border Patrol, which seeks every day to allow that which is dangerous to you to enter the realm of the innocent. Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, which allow criminals guilty of murder and rape and robbery, child molestation, assault, and ushers them into our midst. unbeknownst to us. An NSA which seeks to know everything about you. Stalin and Goebbels are jealous and laughing hilariously, uproariously in their graves. America united against a common foe, a common enemy. That enemy is those which you've been supporting, listening to, honoring, electing. Ununited, we will die. They will take us out one by one, in small groups and large, individually, collectively. They will imprison some and kill others. Until there are none left but the willing, who will raise their hands above their bowed heads and say, "Give me my chains." Give me my chains. I willingly accept your enslavement. Is that what my countrymen are made of? Well, an elective despotism is not the government we fought for, but one in which the powers of government should be so divided and balanced among the several bodies of magistracy as that no one could transcend their legal limits without being effectually checked and restrained by the others. But since we've allowed that to happen, since we've allowed that to go on, and we haven't checked it, then besides the advantage of being armed, which Americans possess over the people of almost every other nation, we'll be right back.